Hello there, my name is Kralow and welcome to my YouTube channel where we talk all things trading, finances and money in general. Now today, an awesome video that we did before and it was really awesome and you guys loved it. It's a podcast with Monta and this time we've discussed a bunch of really awesome topics such as trading and my new business of education, of teaching everyone how to trade, and of quitting smoking, about my engagement, about Dubai, about my how I treat relationship and love, and so a bunch of cool things. So if you're my close follower and subscriber, then you will enjoy this video very, very much. All right, enjoy, and I'll see you in the next videos.
So cannot complain really.
A lot of fun. I wouldn't. I'm surprised to hear that.
But I'm surprised as well. It's just all in our heads. So it's. I used to struggle a lot when I used to try to quit smoking, but right now this time it's surprisingly simple.
What was the reason behind it? Let's just start it and jump in like that. I'm recording and then I can cut it. Like whatever.
Yeah, sure. So the reason behind me trying to quit smoking, well, it's there are many reasons. Number one being just the general overall feeling that when you're smoking a pack or two a day, it's just getting so bad that in the morning your lungs physically hurt, and it just cannot be any good. I don't really want to die from cancer at the age of 35. So I guess that's the most important reason why. Just want to try to live a longer life, because we work so hard to achieve something to actually then be able to enjoy it and then not die at the age of 35.
Yeah, well, a good reason. And how it is going for others, because I saw you have the Telegram group. I was so excited when I saw your story. I was like, this is like you're doing the perfect thing because you're announcing the world, hey, I'm quitting smoking. So you don't have a way back there.
Yeah. No, it's going really well. Surprisingly, we have about 40 people in the group, and I'm not really sure that all of them are precisely quitting smoking, but I think most of them are, because most of them actually are responding to me and are sharing their feelings and experiences. And but in general, I'm super excited that actually they are doing really, really well together with me. So I really hope that by the end of the first week, we'll have at least 10 people who have quit smoking together with me. That would be quite exciting, in my opinion.
Yeah. And you said also in the story that you quit drinking the same way, like you would just quit in one
Right.
day and
Yeah.
then never turn back to it. And what was the reason for that? Also health or?
I was just a heavy drinker. I was never able to actually, some people can have a beer or two, and for me, two beers always ended up with a liter of vodka and being at a police station all beat up or something. So I was out of control completely, and I could be drinking for like 2 weeks straight. So
Yeah.
I was young. I was 20 something years old, but I was an alcoholic, in my opinion.
Wow.
So it was just about time to quit it. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are big and great decisions. I know my dad quit the same way, drinking and smoking one day, and he's
Yeah.
never like he drinks sometimes something for like celebrations, but like that's nothing to
Right.
compare.
Right.
And smoking the same with his friend, that was like ages ago. Just one day, and I was like, wow, I'm like that's really because I used to smoke, and for me, quitting took like a year because I was like, I'll just smoke a cigarette a day. And then
Right.
one day my ex-boyfriend told everyone where we started working, we moved to England, and he said that I don't smoke, so I couldn't smoke because everyone thought I don't smoke.
Yeah.
And that's how I quit, actually, so thanks to him.
Right. It's so. I mean, when I used to try to quit, I would try to actually exchange cigarettes for something else, or maybe an electronic cigarette, or some. There are those chewing tobaccos. It's called
Mm,
those whatever those patches you put
yeah,
in your.
yeah,
I tried switching to that, but then I would become addicted to those pouches, to those whatever the chewing tobacco thing. So it would just be even more disgusting. So it's if you really want, in my opinion, if you want to quit, you just stop doing it, and that's it. And the
yeah,
only thing that you can really do is work on your psychology and understand the reasons behind your smoking. Because in my opinion, the there is no such thing as a, chemical addiction. Like, for example, heroin or cocaine, maybe there is some kind of chemical addiction. It's a lot more severe. But with nicotine, I mean, there isn't really, it's all just a psychological addiction to actually physically smoking, that you have a cup of coffee, you need a cigarette. You have a meal, you need a cigarette. You just go out with your friends, you want to have a cigarette. So it's just basically the part of your routine, but I don't really think that there is too much of physical, I mean chemical addiction. So it's a lot easier to quit than most think. A lot of people, I've heard from them, oh, the first half a year will be really difficult. If you believe that it's going to be really difficult,
Exactly.
it will be difficult. But for me, when I have that urge that comes to me, there are a few things that I'm doing to actually somehow fight it. Sometimes I just right away think about, okay, let me just have a cigarette. So I'll go right now, I'll have a cigarette, and I remember instantly that each first cigarette of the first day, when you're the first one of each day, it's the worst experience ever for me. I mean, each time, every day when I would have that first cigarette, I would feel like I want to throw up. I would feel
Yeah.
sick, physically sick. So when I remember this sickening feeling, the urge kind of drops. So I would still want to have that second and third cigarette, but not the first
Not the
cigarette.
first one. That's a good one.
Right. So and it's just, these are the mind games that you're playing with yourself. Or sometimes, people, they're trying to hide away from that urge and they try not to think about it. But sometimes what I found out that works for me is, when I have that urge, I just sit down and I concentrate on that urge, and I just, I I don't ignore it. I acknowledge it, and I'm like, okay, here is the urge, here I am, and what the hell do you want from me? And I'm just looking at it like this, and
Yeah.
it just somehow just walks away. I don't
Yeah.
know. There are certain things. I mean, everybody is different, but I think that if you have some intellect, and you can actually analyze things and analyze your behavior, your own mentality, I think that you can find that way of dealing with those urges, because those urges, they come and they go. And once
Exactly.
they come, if you can deal with them for like 30 seconds, you will quit smoking, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So
Yeah, no, it's like what I teach in meditation, like not to stuff away your emotions, because people stuff it away with food, with cigarettes, with whatever, like just doing something. And that is that, like, okay, for 30 seconds, just sit with that. Oh my gosh, I want to smoke. Like I want it so bad. The same like coffee or whatever you do in a day. It's just
yeah,
like your mindset.
yeah.
But did you specifically read about, like quitting something, or is this also your mindset from all the other things you do?
I didn't read anything. I know that there is a book. It's called An Easy Way to Quit Smoking, or something
Yeah.
like that. It supposedly is a good book, but I'm a person, I'm not a reader. I've never actually read a single book in my entire life, which is
Oh,
not a good,
wow.
it, it's not a good thing, I guess, but I've never liked to read. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I like to write something, but I don't like to really read anything. So I've heard that, for example, there are certain medication, like tablets, that you can actually, some pills that you can take, that physically, chemically reduce the urge. But if that helps, I guess go for it. But
It's
in my
probably
opinion,
like placebo effects. Like if you think it's
yeah,
gonna help, it's gonna help you. Like it does or it doesn't.
could be as well. But for me, it's just the easiest way. Just like with drinking, I tried quitting drinking a few times as well, and I was, going to different seminars of alcoholic, anonymous alcoholic
Mm-hmm.
groups, whatever bullshit. And so it helped a little bit, but then, as you leave that group, you're like, well, let's start with gin and tonic, because I mean, let's
Yeah.
celebrate our success. It never really worked. So for me, it was just, you know what, fuck it, I'm not
Yeah.
drinking anymore, that's it, finito. And
Yeah.
that's how I quit. So it wasn't like, I'll drink less, I'll drink a little bit more, I'll, go to this group, I'll go to that group. No, just no, and that's it.
Where were you at that time when you were drinking? So you're
Oh,
saying you're 20. Where were you living?
I lived at the time. I believe I came back from Dubai, and I lived in Riga at that time as
Mm.
well.
Is
So it was.
there Alcoholics Anonymous in Riga? I'm no
There were
clue.
such groups. I call them Alcoholics
Oh, okay.
Anonymous, but those are the groups when you actually go there, and there is that instructor who is
Mm.
trying to plant a idea into your head that if you're gonna keep drinking, you will die, or you'll have a cardiac
This
arrest.
sounds like a church.
It sounds like a church, and some of the people I remember you had to pay like 250 euro or a lot euros. They were still euros then, but by then already. And I remember those guys were sitting there and they were looking at this guy who was just walking around and telling them why they will die if they will be drinking. And I remember those huge eyes. Oh wow, I cannot drink anymore. I'm gonna die. And I was just sitting there on a come on. As we left that meeting, I told one guy, so let's go for a beer or something, because I mean I just had enough logic to understand that it's just a mind game. That's it. It's
Yeah.
just bullshit.
No, and
Complete
maybe for someone it works, because we were talking with my brother
bullshit.
yesterday, like for someone when it comes to like earning something, or like going for a new thing or something, for when you say like, oh, if you're gonna go broke, this is this bad thing is gonna happen to you, like, so go and earn the money, like, or do this the same. But for others it's just like you're saying, like, oh, let's just go and have another beer because this is not working for me. Like, positive endorsement is needed.
Yeah. That's right. It's interesting. All people are different. Some people actually they need that small reason and they focus on that reason and it works for them. When for me, if I hear a good reason, I will analyze that reason and
Mm,
I'll most likely understand that this reason is bullshit. So and this reason, my analytical skills are in the way of actually helping myself.
yeah.
So for me it was always just stop it and that's it.
Are you substituting it for a new habit, for example, because
No,
something
I don't
no.
want to develop another addiction, so I'm just not doing anything. I bought myself a piano yesterday, but
I saw that. That's so lovely. That's cool stuff.
no, I always wanted to learn it, and to be honest, it's quite an exciting thing. On YouTube there are so many different tutorials, so I'm just sitting there and playing whatever rubbish. But I guess my neighbors are gonna hate me, but it does help me to get away from urges as well, so that when
Yeah.
my hands are physically busy
Oh,
and my
yeah.
mind as well. It's actually quite difficult to play the piano with two hands at the same time. It's um, uh, intellectually challenging as well. So it's
Mm,
like playing chess or piano or trading as well has that. You have to be thinking about a million things at once. The same thing with piano, and I have some free time, I guess, right now. So I decided as I'm quitting smoking, I try not to focus on work because I feel like if I focus on work too much, I might get agitated very quickly,
mm,
and so I'm trying to take a little bit of time off. But when
yeah.
you're taking some time off, you should still be busy with something. And
Yeah.
during COVID, I decided that maybe playing piano would be a nice solution.
Yeah, no, beautiful. I'll share one profile of a guy that I found on Instagram. He's just, I can't remember his name, but he's so taken away with playing piano. Like, he's just like, when you watch him, it's like there's a different world. Like, he's out of his mind, and he's got a course as well, and people are stoked about his course. So you might love
Yeah,
it as well. So you were in Dubai. Congratulations on your amazing engagement. That was like,
yeah.
I think, every girl's dream.
Thank you.
How was that? How did you prepare for that? And how did you make all that happen? Or was
You know,
that already planned in your head?
yes. I did plan it for quite a while. We've been together for more than 3 years, and I've had different relationships in my life, and I was always very skeptical about love as a concept altogether. And I was always thinking that usually 95% of the time, or 99% of the time, it's going to be just, because of money and because humans need each other, so the concept of that warm and real love was non-existent for me and I did
In the
not believe it.
intellectual you, yeah?
Yeah, it was me analyzing everything always, and but then I realized with time that it was just purely subjective, and it was based on my past experiences and basically nothing else. So when I met Sophia again, she had we had to go through some troubles because of it, and because I didn't believe in anything, and she had to, well, basically not prove herself to me, but she had to actually endure my skepticism when it comes to love, family, relationship, and etc. But as the time went by, I realized that she's the one, and I had the ridiculous criteria, like ridiculous criteria. I mean, we've always had everything basically, but I've never bought her a car or a expensive watch or anything because I was, trying to see if she's just like everybody else or not.
Mm.
And only recently we bought her an okay car and and a few other things, but nothing too crazy because I'm still very careful. But yeah, in general, when I realized that it was about time, then I had to get myself a ring. So I had to prepare everything, and I wasn't very interested in actually going and buying one. It's always very expensive, and at the same time, besides being expensive, it's also you never know what you're getting. So it's a little bit soulless, I would say. So
Mm.
I was thinking that I should actually do it all myself. So I should find the diamond myself, understand what the hell I'm buying, so study
Oh,
diamonds
yeah.
altogether. Then create the ring myself. Well, not with my own hands, but picking the design and being part of the creation of the ring and etc. So it took me about a week to come up with the ring that was the one that I actually liked and the one that I thought that will be perfect. So and then I had to fly. Usually we travel together with Sophia, but this time I had to fly to Dubai, saying that I need to do some work and it's not going to be fun and blah blah blah. So you should stay at home. And just in case if the borders close, then you'll be able to help my grandmother and all
Yeah.
our family, small family that I still have in Latvia. And she said, "Oh well, sure, absolutely, no problem." And so I went to Dubai
To
alone.
craft a diamond ring.
Yeah, yes. To walk around that gold market and where all they have, it's called the gold souk, and they have all the diamonds and gold there. And yeah, I spent about a week walking around that market and bothering each single sales guy
That
there
must be
was.
super exciting, especially if you have never done that before.
Yeah,
Like
it was quite
this.
exciting. I enjoyed the process very much, and the way so many things I've learned about the diamonds that I've never known before. So if you give me a diamond and that small lens to look into, I'll
Hmm.
be able to approximately tell you the quality and the price of the diamond.
Wow.
It's pretty cool. So it's like an expertise in the world of
Hmm.
diamonds. And
Yeah.
yes, besides that, once everything was set and ready, I had two options to propose either in the desert, going out into the wild, doing some buggy racing, and then on the top of some of the hill, whatever you call it, in the dune, and
Mm-hmm.
propose on the top of it, or the yacht. And I thought that Sophia is more of an Instagram girl, so I think that she's gonna go more for the yacht. And I was looking for,
Correct. Yeah.
yeah, yes, that's right.
Nailed it.
So yeah, and then I spent some time looking for the perfect yacht. It was quite easy to find, but I was still, checking and seeing because Dubai is one of the places where they tell you one thing, and then as you actually uh, pay for it, you get something different.
Oh,
And I
wow.
and I could not really afford this kind of a risk, so I was trying to make sure that everything as it is supposed to be. And yeah, and the day, then I bought Sophia a ticket to come to Dubai, saying that, well, I cannot live without her, blah, blah, blah. So please come to Dubai. It's very boring here without you. So she came to Dubai. And then on a day when we were supposed to, and it was just ridiculous story because Sophia, she sent me, and the day before her departure, she sent me a image of her thermometer, and she had 38 Celsius
Ooh.
temperature.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, but I don't give a shit. You're flying to Dubai. I don't care. And it was just that she works a lot, and she overstressed herself with work as always, because she works like 18-hour days. I don't know, 7 days a week sometimes for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason. I don't know. I couldn't do it. And I always tell her, come on, you got to have, a few days off in a week. But she's just young and crazy, I guess.
Yeah.
She will learn it in the hard way. So yeah, she had the temperature, and the problem was, I mean, she had a COVID test, so we knew that it wasn't COVID, so she wasn't dangerous for the public or anything. But it was that you could not board an aircraft
Exactly.
in Amsterdam with the temperature of 37.5 or higher.
Uh-huh.
So she had to, take all the pills. And when she was in Amsterdam, she had to drink a bunch of Theraflu and whatever to bring the temperature down. So basically, she got it down to 37.5 precisely.
Man.
Yeah, yeah. And that's how she came to Dubai. And once she was in Dubai, I told her that because I was doing some work with the company and setting up my own company in Dubai and getting a few other documents and things. And yeah, and I told her that we'll be getting her a residency card. So we're getting her the residency of Dubai, and that she needed to dress nicely and have some makeup so that she would be beautiful on the picture.
On the yacht.
Yeah. And that they will draw, well, in Dubai, when you get yourself a residency card, they actually draw your blood to test for HIV. And
Mhm.
they also do an X-ray to test if you see to see if you have tuberculosis.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
and yeah, and so I told Sophia that there will be an X-ray and they will take some blood. So that's what she was expecting. And we came to Dubai Marina in the place where all the yachts are parked, and we were just sitting there. I was just having a cigarette, and I said that we're just waiting for somebody from the company that I work with to come to pick us up. She's like, okay, yeah. She's just sitting there, and then the guy from the yacht company comes by and just takes our bag, and we start walking towards the pier with all the yachts. And I look at Sophia, and she's looking at his T-shirt, and it says yachting something
Yeah,
about
yeah,
yacht.
yeah.
So it's quite bloody apparent where we are going. But she's looking at that T-shirt with completely empty eyes, and I see that she's not understanding still where we are going, and she's not saying anything. And I said, well, what about his T-shirt? What about it? It says yachting on it. Oh, okay. And only then she started to realize that we are actually going to on a yacht.
Yeah, yeah,
Then I said,
yeah.
I'm inviting you to a nice romantic trip. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then she was extra happy. And then by the end of that trip, I asked the captain to hold the yacht steady with that view to the marina.
That was
And
amazing.
it was pretty cool. Yeah. And until the last moment, Sophia thought that we will be filming a TikTok.
I knew that because that looked like you would guys be filming a TikTok.
Yeah. And she was just standing there with her hands like that because she was expecting me to give her something for the TikTok.
Yeah.
And then it was, yeah, but that I've never been that big of a guy on marriages and proposals, and for me it was always for the girls. It's always for the woman, for the girl, and the same thing with actual wedding as well. However, when I was proposing, my hands were shaking, and even myself, it was so freaking amazing that I've never thought that it's gonna be so cool and so exciting and so life changing that you're actually engaged and you're getting married. And it's, I don't know, it's just something special when you have the right person that you're doing it with, and you're doing it for all the right reasons. I mean, love and real relationship. I think it's something truly magical.
Mm.
And this is something that thanks to Sophia I got to understand and to appreciate, and to get super lucky in life to have real love. And yeah, so it is something super spectacular and super special.
Yeah, no, congratulations, guys. That was
Like,
beautiful. And she's also how would I say, a teacher, a thought leader. She's teaching a lot about manifestation, right?
yes, she's getting into it. She
How
is.
does it work for you if you're so intellectual, all markets, everything, and then she's like totally into that vibe, which is more, I mean, more of my vibe, which is meditations and
Yeah.
all manifestation.
Well, a lot of things that I believe right now, I believe thanks to her. I
Mm.
mean, she is from a quite a religious family, and I used to be religious as well. But as the time went by, and again, my analytical skills actually got me to, more of an atheist. I'm not an atheist. I do believe in a certain laws and certain
You're just probably
things.
not religious, like more of a
I do believe
spiritual.
in I do believe in something greater, but that something greater, I just, in my opinion, has a slightly different reality than Jesus Christ or Allah or anybody else. It's just so I believe in certain things, but in just in a different way. But Sophia, she has always been super religious, and that led her to, digging into the things like the manifestations as well, and the law of attraction, and the positive thinking, vibrations, the universe, and the laws of the universe. And she got me into it as well. So I used to be quite a negative person, believe it or not. I used to be a very angry person, a very
Mm.
aggressive person, and I could do many bad things for no apparent reason because I was so agitated on the daily basis. and the only thing that I've ever thought about was money. And it's the way that Sophia has impacted my life with this whole belief in something greater, and the again the power of positive thinking. That that's partially a lot of my success that I have. I owe it to Sophia, and for her way of thinking, and to actually for changing my own perspective about many things, just like with
Mm.
quitting smoking. The last time when I've tried to quit smoking, it was about maybe at maybe 3 years ago. And back then, 3 years ago, I was still quite a negative and an angry person. And maybe that's why it was so difficult for me to quit smoking, because the only thing that helped me to deal with anger, in my
Was
opinion,
smoking,
it
yeah.
was smoking. And I was just constantly pissed and
Mm.
angry and negative, and everything was always bad. I mean, I was making good money, but that's the only good thing that there was about my life was money, and everything was just a shit show. And maybe that's the reason why it was so difficult for me to quit smoking. And right now I am a even by myself, I'm quite positive, so I'm
Mm.
very lenient as a human being. I'm very comfortable with where I am and with where I'm going and with what I have around me in life. So I'm just in general, and a lot, I'm not maybe the happiest human being in the world, but I am quite a happy human. And I'm not happy because I have something. I'm happy because I realize that I can be happy whenever with whatever.
It's so simple, eh? Just because
Yeah,
you
it's
can be
actually quite
happy.
simple. Yeah. And when you are just a happy person, then it's a lot easier to do anything. And the same
Mm.
thing goes for quitting smoking. I mean, you don't really need smoking. Don't need that cigarette to be happy. You can just be happy. I mean,
Mm.
those urges are still there, but I think they are a lot easier to deal with in this kind of a mental state compared to the mental state that I used to have
Yeah.
when it was just unbearable. And yeah, and
What was the trigger where you not the trigger actually, like what did you do to shift it? Was it, do you remember maybe one point that you were like, oh, you looked at the things differently because she maybe said something, or maybe you did some practical thing to shift to this, like from
mm,
negativity to positivity?
I think that it was she was taking those small baby steps with me, and I remember we started with writing a list of my desires and the
Mm.
list of like the wish list, and well, I don't know if it's like you can see it up there on my
Mm-hmm.
on this. There is that board with different
Yeah.
images and with different
The
the
vision board.
Yes, that's right. The vision board. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Yeah. So I actually do have one, and I've had it for many years,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been edited, obviously. But in the very beginning, the way that Sophia, she just talked me into it to try it. So let's just try it. And I said, you know
Yeah.
what? Screw it, and let me try it, and I'll try to be as sincere as possible
Mm-hmm.
about trying it. So when you're just doing it just because you know what, yeah, I'll do it. It doesn't work like this. So you have to actually be sincere and actually intrinsically care about it and try it like that. And so I did try it, and the certain things and the way that my life was going afterwards was a little bit strange. So I felt like it might be a coincidence, or it actually might be working.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, my analytical skills, because I analyze everything, and I am one of the most skeptical person you might ever meet anywhere in the world. And so it started to show that it actually works somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I still cannot explain many things. I can explain the market, but how the universe functions, I really cannot. I've learned how to use it in my favor and how to
Mm-hmm.
benefit from it, but I cannot really explain it in much detail. But yeah, and just step by step, I was realizing that hey, this works, and I feel better, and this way of thinking makes me happy, and I'm actually in bloody control of my own life. Then
Mm-hmm.
I had a really awesome coach. One of my, I did have a few psychologists and a few psychiatrists back in the day, especially when I was a heavy drinker, and those were all just charlatans, in my opinion, even though they had diplomas and they were doctors. And but it was just complete rubbish. I could teach them more than they could teach me, and I could help.
I imagine how a horrible patient you were. Like just
I
like
was.
I'm smarter than you are. Like you don't tell me how to drink and not to drink.
Yeah. That was about it. Yeah, and I'd just be sitting there at those sessions, and I was drunk at the session, so I was just, um, I was feeling good. I was buzzing, and it was
Yeah.
just bad in general. Yeah, and then when I discovered the NLP techniques,
Hmm.
those, I don't know if you're familiar with NLP.
What's neuro linguistic
Yeah,
something?
yeah,
No,
something.
yeah.
Yeah. And those are, different techniques of, partially it's about hypnosis and
Mm-hmm.
programming your mentality and
It includes
programming.
tapping as well, right?
There are
Yeah,
different ones,
yeah.
sure. There are different levels, and I did try a few of them together with my coach. I do have a coach, an amazing person. She is just out of this mind in terms of
Mm.
mentality. And whenever I need something, for example, today she'll actually come to see me because even though it's quite easy for me to deal with this addiction at
Mm-hmm.
this moment, but I still want her to tweak my brain a little bit. So we'll have
Mm.
a meditation session as well as some small hypnosis session when we'll be
Nice.
going back in my mind to the time when I was not a smoker, which was around when I was like 13, 14, 15 years
Mm.
of age. So before I actually went to live to the United States. And we'll be going back to that time. We will be switching we'll be taking out certain aspects of that time and implanting those aspects in today's world, in my
Mm-hmm.
world today. And in this way, I will sort of, it's like psychological hacking. So I
It's
will,
amazing. I love
so
it. I do it with meditations as well, like painting the picture, like you change your past picture and what it does to
yeah,
people. They're like, how did you do it? And I don't know. I have like a good intuition. I just like
yeah.
feel and I know what has worked for me and I experiment. I'm like, wow, I'm amazed of how actually like
Yeah.
our intellect and the mind is like a really great thing when
It's
you're
crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's so actually is. I mean, it's very complicated, but at the same time, I
mm,
think it's quite predictable and it's programmable. So you can do,
yeah,
you,
programmable for sure.
yeah, you can do many things with it. And the point of our today's session is to make me believe that I've always been a non-smoker. So
Mm-hmm.
if you
That's
remove the,
amazing, huh?
yeah. So I've always been a non-smoker. So why would I smoke if I'm a non-smoker?
Yeah.
So and yeah, so this is just something that has a helping hand for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I
How
mean,
does
so
it even feel like when you say that? Because when you say that and I hear it, I'm like, that's right. Like maybe you were just down for, like a couple of years. That's why you were smoking because you're
right,
always a
right, yeah,
non-smoker,
yeah, right. Because theoretically, all humans are non-smokers to begin with.
right?
They
Yeah.
just it's just something happens and they somehow get into smoking, but then I mean it doesn't really change them that very much. So that you can always
Mm.
go back to who you are, and you're a non-smoker. So there are those certain mind tricks that you have to play and
Mm.
to actually make it a fun game. Because right now for me it's actually exciting. I'm counting those hours and I already feel a lot better physically.
Yeah.
And my the senses are coming back. So when
Mm-hmm.
something is cooking in the kitchen, I can actually sense it. So I can
Mm-hmm.
actually smell it, and I know what it is. Because when I was smoking 2 packs a day, I mean, I couldn't smell anything. The smell was almost gone, and the taste was almost gone. I had to put a lot of salt on everything because
That's what I heard as well. It's always like a lot of salt, and that's like that's
yeah,
not healthy. Like two packs of cigarette and the salt on the top of
right,
it.
yes, yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's just the way it is because you
Mm.
don't taste anything. And you always put salt, more salt to make it more tasteful.
Yeah.
So it's there are many things that just in general and the way your mind works, also nicotine and the way that your blood vessels are shrinked when you smoke. So the nicotine it actually reduces your intellectual capability of your brain function,
Mm.
basically the CPU,
Be-
the
because
you
of the blood vessels in the brain, or
right,
what?
sure. I mean, there are blood
Mm-hmm.
vessels that are shrinking and there is less blood flowing through your
Mm-hmm.
brain. So it's reducing your cognitive capabilities. So if you're a smart guy, they always used to say that when you're playing a chess game, it's not good to smoke because your cognitive capabilities
Mm-hmm.
are reduced by
Okay.
5%, 10. It's not like you're becoming stupid, but it's
But
it's 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 affecting it by a few percent. And when you're, for example,
that's a good reason to quit as well.
sure, I mean, there are many good reasons. There isn't a single good reason to keep smoking.
Yeah.
Not a single good reason besides just being addicted to the fact that you're doing it. It's complete
Mm.
rubbish. I mean, even if you think about it, it's just funny how no sense. It makes no sense, and it's almost
Mm.
funny how it's a joke. But
I
that's
wonder
that's
what's like going to be in the future, how people are going to look at it, like the things that we used to do. And I always am amazed how they were marketing the cigarettes in what was it, like 60s or something, when they're like, oh, you have to smoke because this is healthy, and like how it
right.
has changed. Like
Yeah.
now it's unhealthy. Like people still smoke, and then it's just like wow, it's like a ton of.
Well, Philip Morris has always been paying doctors, used to be paying doctors to say that smoking is healthy. And then they were paying doctors to not say that it's bad. And
Yeah.
then they started to realize that humans are moving away from smoking. And Philip Morris, that's the company that controls
Mm-hmm.
80% of tobacco in the world, more or less. And they've realized that people will stop smoking sooner or later. So that general tobacco, the burning one. So they've decided to make the one that is heating up. So that's the ICOS.
IQOS is crazy now because I don't get it. I'm like, people like, it's the same as smoking, and you probably even
No,
smoke
no.
more, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, I tried IQOS and I've smoked a pack of IQOS and a pack of normal cigarettes per day. So it wasn't a replacement for me. But the funny thing is that Philip Morris started working on IQOS in the 90s already.
Wow.
The first IQOS was made in 1990 something. And the reason for that, even back then, they knew that people will not be smoking forever and that
Yeah.
their revenue and their income was reducing by a small fraction of a percentage per year because people were just moving away from smoking in general.
Yeah.
So that's the real story, the crazy story, and the Philip Morris. They're trying to come up with the way that will be consumption of nicotine in the same huge way, but perhaps in some different way at some point. Maybe they will be shooting needles into the vein with nicotine.
Maybe like breakfast cereal.
Breakfast cereal with nicotine, something, right? Yeah, but
Get your nicotine straight away.
right, because Philip Morris, they do realize that humans are getting tired of this bullshit habit, and it doesn't work for humans anymore. And plus, the
Yeah.
taxes are so high; it's so expensive to smoke. It's ridiculous. So, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any other like New Year's resolutions, goals, or something that you've also started just because it's New Year's, or was just this
No,
one just like,
that's
oh, okay, I want to do it?
that's
And
I've done and changed quite a few things in my life and myself in general, but the biggest, the hardest thing was smoking. So
mm,
if I need to change something in my daily routine, it takes me 30 seconds to do it.
mm,
If I need to get rid of a bad relationship, it takes me 5 seconds to do it. So
mm,
it's not a problem for me. The only thing that I've ever struggled with, those were two things. Number one was drinking,
mm,
thankfully almost 4 years now, and smoking. Smoking was the
yeah.
hardest one. So if I quit smoking, then I'll consider myself to be as close to perfect as I ever want to be.
That's a
Close
super
to,
good motivation. It's like I'm the most perfect me now. Like I've always been that, but like there are a couple
yeah,
of rough years.
right. So that's basically my that's I've imagined myself being a certain way all my
Hmm.
life, and once I quit smoking and once I completely feel free from this addiction, I think that I'll be, as I said, yeah, the
Mm.
closest to my best that I've wanted to be.
Yeah. And also another congratulations on your course and all your students.
Yes, yes,
How
thank
has
you.
that been? Because when we talked last time, you were just, launching it and like doing all the things. Now you're a teacher and
Yeah.
inspirer, and I can see all those students like cheering for you. How is that feeling?
It's unbelievable, to be honest. I did not expect to have such a huge success with it because the
Mm-hmm.
amount of people that are studying that at one point our the website was malfunctioning because of the amount of traffic. It was
Yeah.
crazy. So we had to change the servers and to extend the hardware, whatever, however it's called.
Mhm.
And just in general, the amount of positive feedback, it's crazy. And quite a lot of students, they have switched to real money trading, and they've made,
Mhm.
one guy made $8,000, another guy made $5,000. So they're starting with small amounts, because I always say that you shouldn't start with too much money right away, because it's going to be a psychological pressure to,
Mhm.
some people might, sell their car to trade, to
No.
have that money to trade with, but that's very dangerous in my personal opinion. So all of the students, they're starting with small amounts, like a few thousand. And when you spend 2 3 months trading with a few thousand, and you make like 8,000, that's an incredible result. And when
Mm.
you're doing it in a controlled environment, that's something that you can actually repeat. The market always changes, so sometimes you might be making a lot of money, and then you might start losing a lot of money, and you need to adjust your view to the market and adjust the strategy. And that's one of the hardest things to do for most traders, and that's what actually separates successful traders from eventually losing traders who
Mm.
are ready to change and adapt. And
Yeah.
sometimes you have to adapt a few times per day, sometimes a few times per month, sometimes just once a year. So it really depends on the market and many, many things in general. But just to see how so many students are coming to me saying, I've spent 5 years at the markets. They complete my learning program and they say, I knew literally nothing.
Nothing. And you're like ka-ching.
Yeah, yeah. For me, it's absolutely incredible because,
For your
I love
ego, it's so nice.
it. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Boost.
It's,
Mm.
it's it's absolutely incredible because I used to hear that one guy, he said, he's been at the markets for 15 years, and I thought, my God, it's like twice as much time as I've been at the markets.
Mhm.
What could I possibly teach him? And
Yeah.
he lost a lot of money in the markets, and I thought, well, okay, maybe whatever could happen in the period of 15 years. I mean, even if you lose like $2 per day, you will still lose a lot in 15
Exactly. Yeah.
years. So, and then I thought, well, there is always a money back guarantee. So if it's not helpful, well, we can always give you a refund, and we still keep it at 30 days, which is incredible for this industry. Most coaches, they have no refund policy,
Mm.
because the refund rate would be like half or 50% or
Yeah.
something. Our refund rate is around 1%.
Mhm.
So it's absolutely incredible. And so this guy, yeah, who was trading for about 15 years, and when he completed the program, he actually sent me the list of things that he was using, and it was just a complete illogical, complete rubbish. Some of the stuff was sort of something that I would use as well, but it would be it was completely backwards. So
Yeah.
it made absolutely no sense, and there was no logic in what he was doing at all. So he got a bunch of free information a little bit here, a little bit there, and then some paid course, which was rubbish. And
Mm.
he put it all together and tried to use it all at once in a completely wrong order. And he was doing it for like 15 years, and now he is showing great.
Fooling around.
Yeah,
What a waste of time.
the problem with trading is that there are so many different ways to do it, and people tend to think that it's easy. And then even with my approach, if you disregard one simple rule, it might end up just tipping the scales, because there is no such thing as being always into profit. You
Mm.
always are. It's always a fight between losses, profits, and you try to be just a few percent overall into profit. So a few extra losses per day or per week might decide if you made some money or lost some money. So even the smallest rules, some of the students who fly through the program in like 4 or 5 weeks, they miss like half of it, just because
Mm.
they're afraid that they need to have that money back guarantee just in case. So
Oh,
they
okay. I see. Yeah.
so they are doing it in like they are studying 15 hours per day, and then by the end of the program, they are even trying to squeeze in some back testing of the strategy into those 4 weeks, which is
Mhm.
impossible, absolutely impossible. And sometimes they write saying, "Oh well, I tried this and that, and it showed this and that result." And I'm just asking them 3 questions. I always have the same 3 questions, because usually people miss the same 3 things, and then they realize they say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna go back. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, go back.
Please do.
Yeah. But in general, it's an amazing experience, and just I've never expected that it's going to be such a great business
Yeah.
as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm always open to talk about money, and the money here is amazing. I mean, sometimes you always get that hate that, oh, if you're a successful trader, why are you selling education, whatever.
Like, why
But
not? Why would you keep your brain somewhere in a pocket? Like,
right, I
come
mean,
on.
that's for one, and the other one is I always respond. I always respond to everybody, and I always say that if you knew how much I made in the previous 4 weeks, you wouldn't
Mm.
even ask me this question,
Yeah,
because the amount of students, they just keep coming in. I mean, and we just started. I
I
mean, we
know.
just
Yeah.
started, and the numbers that we are showing. I mean, I've given my marketing guys a goal that we wanted to reach throughout the next year, sometime by the
Like
end of.
everyone, because you're all the time on my ads. Because, like we done podcasts together, and then like when I search for you or something on a picture, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
like Thomas there, Thomas there, Thomas
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
It's like Thomas is everywhere. It's like
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah, that's that. It's just my marketing guys, they're quite good, but everybody just tells me, come on, can I just switch off your ads? I said, even if you buy my program, most likely you will still see my ads.
Yes. I'm sorry.
So,
I'm here now all the time. I'm
yeah, yeah,
present.
yeah, yeah. And I've given them that number that there was how I calculated the amount of money that I want to make. I've just taken the best year of my trading career,
Mm-hmm.
divided it by two, and that was the number that I wanted to be making from education that
Yeah.
make me feel happy in terms of the amount
Mm-hmm.
of money, and at the same time have no trading related stress. And we've reached that number, and we surpassed that number already in November.
Wow. And that was
So
like what? Like you launched October? No, or
no,
something?
we launched slowly in June,
Okay.
but our increase in the marketing budget started with about September.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
September, October, November, and we are just skyrocketing. It's
Mm,
crazy, and we are not even using affiliated marketing yet.
yeah.
So once we start using affiliated marketing, and we will triple our current ad budget. So it's just gonna, I don't know, it's gonna be crazy.
But I was talking to my brother yesterday, who is in your program, and I took your advice from our last podcast, because remember I asked you like, what do you think about people like do you give for free or something? And you said no, it doesn't work. So my brother wanted to get in your program, and I was like, I can't give it for free to him, like because I could just pay, like like I love education and all that. So I said like, okay, you give me your car, because I didn't have a car at that time, and I give you this money, you can start you can start the course, and then when like when you pay back to me, then I give you back your car. So we did this. It worked perfectly, because he was like, so like he wanted to get his car back, and he was like really in the course, and he hasn't started trading yet, but he has finished. But yeah, it's amazing. He's just loving it, and the mindset and everything that he's learned in a way. It's like, lovely.
Yeah, it's in general, I've just when I was creating the program, I made extra few lessons now, because I'm always developing and improving, and I'm always listening to my students, and a few things.
Mm,
I've been into trading for so many years that some things were common sense, in my opinion. And so I either did not include too much information on those topics, or no information at all. So, and as I see some comments from some of my students, I've made extra 14 lessons to cover for some of the information. But in general, when in the very beginning, when I sat down to create my learning program, I mean, I had nothing in mind besides just putting it out in a logical way,
mm-hmm.
and that's it. And it just ended up being one of the best learning programs in the world of trading. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Somewhere from Northern Europe, some guy that did some trading, and but people really, the most important part of this, besides money, of course, is the feeling of need. I feel
Mm,
like I'm actually giving something valuable to people for the money
yeah.
they pay me. So I don't have that feeling of some trading guru who takes $3,000 for some rubbish information.
Mm.
I'm actually giving them information that will be pointing them in the right direction. So which is more than worth the money.
Exactly,
And
and you also have the story behind it. That's what also we were talking about yesterday, because you have built your career. Like you have the things that everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna trade because I can get this car or something. Yeah,
yeah,
but you have it, and you're just sitting there. You're happy, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna teach this to someone else. It's not like people who are just hiring the cars and apartments to take the pictures and then like
yeah,
post and do their
yeah.
marketing funnels and then make the money. So it's a
It's
amazing
a
thing.
different
It's
way, yeah.
fun.
It's just a different way of doing
It's a
it.
different, it's a marketing way, but I think like yours is so much, it's legit.
Right, right. Well, it's been quite a an amazing journey, in my opinion, and
Hmm.
it's just the positivity, and in this way, I'm actually capable of getting even more positive energy into my own universe, because
Yeah.
I get so much back from my students as well. Uh, not just money, but also all the words, all the messages. I every day I get an awesome message from somebody saying just thank you, and it's amazing. So in
Yeah.
general, it's something that if you really want to be going into that next level of your own mentality, just work with people and give them something. Give them
Hmm.
something nice, and even, I mean, you can give them something for money, not for free, but still give them the feeling that they've paid less than it's worth. So in this way, that you'll have that communication, and you will always get that flow of positive energy that you can
Yeah.
actually use to convert into energy for new projects. Because right now I have 3 or 4 new projects that I'm going to be working on this year that are huge. I
Also
mean,
trading or something different
some
in
some is
education.
something is about trading, but some is just in general business, because right now I've made so many new friends, and I became part of that investor association, the club, the Changer Club, and I've made many new friends there, and we're just thinking to do all kinds
What
of
is that?
ideas.
Oh, I remember they were sending you some gift or something. I was
Yeah, yeah,
wondering
yeah,
what
yeah.
is that?
It's the club Changer. You can find it in Google. Just Changer Club. It's just an association, like a club for investors. So
Hmm.
if you are a person who is interested in startups, venture capital, all kinds of different investments, and just in general growing as an entrepreneur or growing as a businessman, then you're becoming a part of the community. Everybody there is a wealthy person who is looking to develop, make new friendships, and go further in the world of business, create projects together, and etc.
Hmm.
So I became inspired by quite a few presentations during few of the meetings that happen on the monthly basis in the club, and the things that we discuss are just ridiculous, like things like extending life and etc. So it's very exciting, and
Yeah.
quite a few ideas popped to my head, and the opportunities that are presenting themselves just out of the blue. I mean, sometimes there is a guy coming to see me in the evening to play some pool with me, and he just mentions an idea that it seems unreal to him, but it takes me 2 hours and a few phone calls to make it real.
Wow. That's a
And we
power, huh?
yeah, and I mean, and we are making a lot of money together, like a lot of it. I mean, once it launches, it still is in the process, and we are
Mm.
opening a company together so that we can actually, get all the money flowing through us in a correct way. And it's just, yeah, a few hours, a working business, and it's a multi-million euro business. And just out of nothing, out of knowing people, having good mentality, and attracting money and
Mm.
people and friendships and everything else is just spiraling out of control. It's like, an infinite progression. It
Yeah,
starts
it's the
and
the
just,
vortex going up.
yeah, and it just goes crazy. Then, I used to,
Oh.
when about 10 years ago, I'm from, as I mentioned during the previous podcast, I'm from a relatively simple family. And I used to think that, when I will make, I don't know, $5,000 or euro per month, I'll be the most happiest person in the
Mm.
world. I'll be able to have an okay car and maybe some okay apartment and whatever. And then when I started making 5,000, I thought that, well, if I'll be making like 15,000, that will be just amazing. And when I started making 15 or something, and it just keeps on going. And right now,
Mm-hmm.
with, for example, the education, I know very well that I'll make well over 1 million per year just for my education. And
Mm.
for me, that's a normal number, since because that's pretty much what I was making in the best years and the luckiest years of my trading. But right now, the business ideas that we are having, those can be in like 5 million per year or 10 million per year. So the numbers keep increasing and increasing, and this becomes just something I don't even believe myself where I'm sitting right now. So
You're just watching it, huh?
I'm just watching it, and I'm just doing
It's
my
all
best.
just happening.
I'm just enjoying the world. I'm just enjoying my communication with all the super important and awesome people that I know, and just I'm trying to be as positive as I possibly can. So I'm
Mm.
always trying to be as helpful as I possibly can, and also be forthcoming, and just in general, and I'm awesome human. Like I'm very much inspired by Dwayne Johnson. He
Mm-hmm.
is really I'm following him on Instagram, and he is just, you know, an amazing human. I mean, he just the way that I don't know if he really is the way he's presenting himself, but I do like to see him in the way that he's presenting himself, at least because this is the kind of positive emotions that he's when you look at him, and his smile is like $1 million smile, but it's not in terms of money, it's in
Yeah.
terms of the humanness.
Mm.
And I believe, and he's immensely successful financially as well, and I think that those things in the new era, the new age which we are entering right now, is going to be the most important. It used to be, the 90s, and go and steal and take and rob and do all the
Mm.
criminal activities, but right now the world is completely changing into a different routine. And I
Yeah.
feel like all the people, and I know a lot of people who made a lot of money fast in a very bad way. And back in the day, they're a little bit older now, and quite a lot of them are for some reason losing everything right now.
Mm.
So just nothing is working for them. But they are very
New
mean.
rules.
Yeah, new rules, and they are just not fitting into the picture anymore. And
Mm.
it's I believe that the next 10 to 20 years is going to be for those who understand the intrinsic value of mentality, positive energy, sharing, and business being the art of sharing, and just being the part of the being itself, and being in a positive sense. It's hard for me to explain, but it's all
No, you're explaining it perfectly. I was
nice.
just picturing you as like the next guru as well.
So, and just in general, I think that this is,
Mm.
and the teaching, the whole course and program, and working with all the students is also getting me there. So I mean, I do have some haters, but I don't really care about them.
Oh,
That's
I
their
love those who are faking your profile. That's so fun.
those are just some businessmen who try to use my reputation and to
I was like,
sell.
I was like, wow, I'm like that's a level to like do all this crap like for someone. Because I'm always like, how much time do these people have? Like, I'm so busy with my life and my own manifestations and meditations and awesome things, and like people have time for this like hating and negative comments and everything. I'm like, wow, I'm like, I'm so
I
sorry
don't
for you.
know. People. Some people have written me messages about why did I buy no, that when we bought Sophia her new car, it was in a shop for some time because we needed to fix a few things because it's not a new car, and we wanted to fix a few things to make it perfect. And some guy has actually written to me saying that it was a rental Porsche. Sophia is driving in dirty taxis, and that I in one of my pictures on Instagram I'm wearing my jeans that look like old jeans, and that
Oh,
I should throw out those jeans. Whatever. I was just reading this and I was like, holy shit! I mean,
someone's high.
that this is the new level of insane. I mean, come on. The people think that I'm gonna be getting offended or I'm gonna get angry or
Mm,
something, but for me, I'm just reading this and I'm just the most emotion that I get out of it is a huge surprise,
yeah.
because I know that a lot of people are a little bit strange and very greedy and etc. But this kind of stuff, this is like pure insane. This
Mm,
is, I don't know, these people are sitting there with their mind completely exploding into anger at
yeah.
themselves because they cannot live their ass off of a couch. I don't know what it is, but yeah, but these are very rare circumstances, and this is
Mm,
something that anybody has learned. has to learn to deal with as well, because it's
Yeah, when
quite
you go
easy
public.
it's quite easy to fall into negative emotions as well if you let this kind of rubbish get to you. And
Mm,
you have to be ready for it, and it's absolutely normal, so there's nothing you can do about it. But just always remember that if you're doing everything right and you're doing everything to the best of your ability, then you're absolutely fine. You're as
mm,
perfect as you can possibly be as a human, as you,
exactly.
because I mean, maybe I could have been better, or maybe I could have been worse, or but as I could potentially be as myself, with my characteristics, with my intrinsic biology and my genetics. If I give value, in my personal opinion, then it's as perfect as it gets.
Mm,
So yeah, I don't know.
the perfect human being. A question that my brother actually asked: how's your
Sure.
Latvian? Do you
It's.
speak
I mean,
Latvian?
I speak it. I mean, I
Yeah,
speak it.
but
I
your
prefer.
native, like your native language, mother tongue
It's
is.
more Russian.
Mm-hmm.
So I speak more Russian. I do speak Latvian a little bit. I mean, I can understand what a
Uh-huh.
person was saying because I've spent so many years and I was born in Latvia.
Yeah.
But I've learned to prefer English simply because of my adulthood. I've mostly spent in the United States. So even when it comes to trading, I mean, I was taught in English. So when somebody's sending me a message on Instagram speaking Latvian, I usually just say, just let's speak English, or I don't speak
Yeah.
Latvian, because it's just so much easier for me to,
Mm-hmm.
even writing. Sometimes I respond with voice messages, but sometimes if I want to respond in writing, I type like 10 times faster in English than I type in Russian or Latvian. So
Yeah.
and for example, for me, the use of garumzīmes and things like that, I'm really bad with it. So it's always easier for me to communicate in English.
Because yeah, last time we were doing the podcast, and I was like, like I didn't understand, like, what is his native language? I'm like,
Yeah,
because you know, like from Thomas Kralow, especially with a double W at the end, I'm like,
yeah.
oh, like I don't, like now I'm confused. And
No,
then I was like,
many people are asking me, and to be honest, I mean, theoretically, you could call me Latvian since I was born in Latvia.
mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, one thing is, your official, place of birth. But then another thing is where you grew up and who you are. And
Exactly.
for me, I cannot really. I'm partially American. I'm partially
Mm.
Latvian. I'm partially Russian. I've spent a lot of time in the Middle East, so I could say I'm part Muslim. I don't know. It's I'm just a mix of so many things, and even my English. I mean, there is some Russian accent. There is also something Latvian. There is
Mm.
something British. There is something a little bit from New York, because I've lived in New York with all the
Mm.
Yankees and stuff. So I
Yeah.
do have some a little bit of those linguistic tendencies of a New York English, so to speak.
Mm.
So it's
But
even
thinking in English.
it depends. Sometimes it's a good question.
Because I just finished writing my book and I wrote it in English and then my assistant translated it. And when I read it in Latvian, I'm like, this is crap. I don't like it in Latvian. I was like, no way. I'm like, I'm like, either I have to like really sit down and like, and then I started thinking and talking to myself loudly of like how it
Yeah,
would sound in Latvian. It's totally different. Like I have to like step in a different zone to go for it in Latvian because I lived
yeah.
abroad for the past 12 years as well. So it's just like English.
Right. Well, I think that mostly I think it depends on who is next to me. If
Mm.
I'm speaking English, I'll be thinking in English. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm speaking in Russian, then I'll be thinking in Russian.
Yeah.
If I'm speaking in Latvian, I'll probably be thinking in Russian. I don't know. Yeah, but if I'm speaking German, I will definitely think in English. So
Yeah.
yeah, there is.
Wow. That's such a big. Imagine how this one can do all these things.
It's crazy, and it's only like 5 to 10% of its actual capability.
Right?
It's crazy, absolutely crazy. Yeah.
Oh wow. Thank you so much for the conversation. This was fun. This was like straight away like boom into the flow zone. It's
And
good.
I always start talking so, rapidly, and sometimes I even lose track of my thoughts, and then I try to get them all back, because I do like,
You don't
to
need
have a
to.
nice. Yeah, so I do enjoy an awesome chat, and always, as always, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
It's
No,
always
it's
giving me a
amazing.
chance to talk.
Yeah. How can people find you? Just those who are listening to podcast. What's the
Yeah.
best to see your ads all over and over and over again?
If they want to see all of my ads, they should visit my main website. The Pixel will register them, and then they will keep seeing my ads, which is thomaskralow.com, or YouTube Thomas Kralow, or Instagram Thomas Kralow, Facebook Thomas Kralow. So it's
Do you
I'm
do
all
any IG lives, or you post stories daily, right? Or do you do any like
I,
content on YouTube or as
I
well? What
I
or?
do post on YouTube. I try to post twice a week, but mostly once a week. I'm the most active. I am on Instagram because YouTube and Facebook they are being managed by somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
and Instagram I manage. The only thing that I manage myself actually.
Yeah.
Everything else I just create content and send it over, and
Mm.
that's it. So if somebody wants to communicate with me, send me a message, a question about trading, life, or whatever, they should send me a message on Instagram. So that's
Okay.
where I keep all my conversations, and that's where I respond the most.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's where I got your contact
right.
and
Yep, yep,
and
yep, yep.
invited you for podcast. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Monta. Thank you very much.